to the Super T podcast show. So I'm not sitting inside of the home studio space. I'm in the living room, and this is Let's Talk About It, where I speak candidly about a subject, about a topic that comes to me and that I feel it's important that I share. So, one topic that comes to me is trauma because whew, I am literally healing my physical body from trauma right now. But before I could even get to a point mentally to heal physically, I had to heal mentally from trauma and also heal spiritually from trauma. And that took years, years, and years and years and years and years and years and years and years, okay? Kudos to all of the people who have been there and who have been support systems and support networks to me as I rose out of the ashes like a phoenix. Now I'm in a position, and I still have a lot of growing to do and a lot of places to go, but now I'm in a position where I can offer insight into trauma, and not because I studied it, which I am about to, but not because I studied it, but because I lived through it. It gives me a little bit more of an edge and a lot more authority. Because again, I'm not just quoting research, I am telling you what I know. Now, I'm not saying that the way I healed is the way everybody else heals, but I do know for a fact that there are levels to trauma, and some people don't have like a physical result from their trauma. Some people do. However, the mental aspects and the spiritual aspects, those aspects that you do not see, those aspects right there, baby, 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 okay? Baby. So, if you know me, if you are familiar with this channel, you know that I am heavy on my spirituality. And the reason why I'm heavy on my spirituality is because that has been the anchor that kept me grounded as I healed mentally and spiritually. It was my anchoring, and so I prioritize it in my life. It is what guides my life. And I have a little saying I'm multilingual with spiritually because I can understand what a Christian is saying. I can understand what a Muslim is saying. I should say comprehend. I gotta be careful with these words. Etymology. I'm not standing under anybody, but I can comprehend. I could comprehend various spiritual modalities when an individual is communicating to me because I get and I can feel where they are coming from. And another brother that I know is very like not even professional. I think is he is a professional, but he's a master. I don't know if there could be anything like a super master, but I consider the brother to be a super master at this that I've just explained is Michael Beckwith. And he announces it in his spiritual center, that there's only one. There's only one source. And a Muslim might describe that source in a different way than a Christian may describe that source. A Christian may describe that source in a different way than someone who practices Yoruba. So it's okay. But when you know that source personally, like you got a personal, you get it. You get what they are saying. So I have a new friend, and they've experienced trauma, and some of the traumas that they have experienced, I have also experienced. So I feel like it's really kind of cool that we met at this juncture because I feel like I can offer insight into certain things, and just encouragement. Like, you gonna get past this. You know what I'm saying? I know you don't feel like it right now. I know shit feel crazy. It look crazy because you're juggling and you got, little ones that you are responsible for. And I can only imagine because I was there, and I was there without having any support. So I know that feeling of overwhelmment. I know that feeling of just like, dag, why did I spend so much time trying to work on something that wasn't working? Like I literally was there. And again, I was there without a support system. So it was like once I finally got free, I still had so much to navigate through with my young ones. And then one of my young ones wasn't here no more. So then on top of navigating out of trauma, I had grief. Bam! Just put on me like bam! And that grief right there is a grief I wish upon nobody because it's not something you ever expect as a parent, especially if your child is born healthy. You know what I mean? You have a healthy born child, you don't expect your child to outlive your child. You know what I'm saying? So that was a heavy, 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 heavy grief. Yet here I am, 14 later, after that, after divorcing my first husband, after so many trials and tribulation and healing and healing and healing and healing. And now I'm at a point where, okay, I did have an incident a few years ago, but still, I had to still get into a mental space to be able to heal and get into a safe space to heal. You know what I'm saying? Because when you go through so much trauma, you form these strong, not even just boundaries, but these strongholds. Like you just like, okay, I have to protect myself type thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I was living my life. And honestly, in all honesty, in certain aspects, I still live from that space. I know that I am fully guided, guarded, and protected by the divine. And when I say divine, I'm talking about God. Some people refer to God as Jesus. Some people refer to God as Allah. Some people refer to God as Jehovah. But I'm still talking about that infinite power, that infinite source that is floating our blue planet. We're not crashing into Mars or anything. There's a force. There's a force field that's controlling that divine universal force field. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm tuned into. That's what I'm tapped into. That is my anchor. And I like to call it divinity. Again, it goes by many names, but that is the source and the force that I'm tapped into and that I utilize to to lead me and guide me in everything the freak I do. Everything. And it leads me so wonderfully now. Does it? Does it? Does it? And nothing is by my own accord, people. I have ideas. Yes, I do. But I run my ideas across the divine before they are ever spoken out loud, okay? Ever. It goes straight through the source. Source. That. Okay. Okay. And Source is quick. Source will give me some answers because I had some thoughts going through my head today, and I was like, Source, so what you think about that? And it was like, it could work, but people have to do their work. And I was like, okay. Okay. You one of the people that got to do their work. Okay. Like Source, when I tell you Source, keep it real. Source keeps it 1,000%, okay? 1,000%. And I'm like, okay, 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 I got it, Source, I got it. So we shall see. We shall see, but it's a beautiful, like, psh, what? Psh, what? Psh, that's all I can say is psh. But let's get back to trauma. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about trauma. So, interesting. Some of my trauma and a lot of the trauma on my family was experienced at the hands of people who claim to be very religious. For example, God rest my mother's beautiful soul. My grandfather allowed a woman that was a part of his faith, Christians, a part of his faith, after my grandmother passed away, he remarried very quickly, from what I hear, to a woman that was also a part of this Christian faith of theirs. This woman, who was a part of that Christian faith, brought her sons into the household. And not only did her sons abuse and traumatize my mother and the other girls in the house, she did too. She did too. She did too. And one of her sons murdered my first cousin, Shawnee. Oh, yeah. Murdered her. Cold blood, shot her. He went to jail for a very tiny bit of time because he was a minor. He was under 18. Trauma. So the trauma that I have worked through has not only been my own personal trauma, but it has been generational trauma that I have worked through. And for a period of time, I associated, especially like right in the beginning of my healing process, I associated the trauma and those horrible things to everybody that was connected to that particular faith. I said, oh no, how could this faith be real if people are doing things like this and people are doing things like that? I didn't want to have anything to do with anyone who practiced that particular faith. And it's Christianity. It's a particular sector of Christianity, but nonetheless, it's still Christianity. Well, nothing to do. Nothing to do. Because how could this stuff be real and you are behaving like that? How? But as I begin to look more inside of me and focus on healing and focus on really connecting with the divine, deep, deep, I say deeply, 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 deeply. I can't even put my voice in no further deeper than that. Deep, 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 deep. And I healed and I got better. I was able to rebuild relationships with relatives who are still in that faith, who are in complete denial that that faith has anything to do with those other people's behavior. And in a way, they are correct because those people who made those choices were unhealed and probably traumatized and abused themselves. And this person that I'm building a relationship, rebuilding a relationship right now, they have never, ever, ever, ever behaved in those ways and matters. And so I got to see the contrast. But see, you can see clearly when you are healed. When you are still healing, sometimes you can't see as clearly because that pain is clouding your vision. And I get that. And I get that. So I just want to encourage anybody who has been through trauma, who's going through trauma, you can get through it. You can heal through it. And as you heal, your vision is going to be clearer. And you're not going to say, oh, these people are like that because of their chosen way of communicating and communing with the divine. You're going to realize that whoever mistreated you, whoever harmed you, and it could be multiple people, and even if they by chance happen to be a part of a certain faith, it's not the faith that is the issue. It's those unhealed people that probably was traumatized themselves. That's the issue. And yes, that's not easy to see when you are healing yourself. But once you are healed, you can see more clearer. And when you see more clearer, then you can assess more better. And when you can assess more better and more accurate, then it's just a better way to be. So that's what we are about here at the Super T Podcast channel. We are about better and better and better. And I live it. I don't just preach it and teach it. I live it. I just started talking about it too. I was like, is this what you want me to do, Divine? You want me to? Oh, I went through that stuff so I could help others get through it? Uh. Okay. Fair enough. Anyway, I gotta put my shirt on and get out of here. Get to physical therapy. Um, it's always interesting there. That space, everything. Interesting, 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 interesting. I'm going up in the mountains. Up in the mountains to get these legs of mine together. Um, well, I think I'm the third weekend. I have nothing to say but that I'm grateful. Now I'm probably gonna only do 2 months with them, maybe three. I might do 3 months with them. Um, because I had to. I can't even tell you what I had to do, but all I could say is this is the result of healing, and if I could do it, you could do it. So go within. Be honest with yourself. You feel a way and you don't like the way you feel. Before you look at the person who may have triggered you, look inside yourself. And that's not an easy thing to do. But look inside yourself and say, well, why do I feel this way? And did the person in fact do something intentional to to harm you? Did they do something non-intentional to harm you? Where is that person really truly coming from? And is their action really the reason why you feel triggered? Or are you triggered because rather, there's a part that still needs to be healed? Those are honest questions to have with yourself. And there are support services out there for you too. And if you would like to grab my ebook, the link is going to be in the bio. So thank you for tuning in to this week's Let's Talk About It Trauma. A lot of folks have experienced it. I don't know who hasn't in some way, shape, form, or matter. Those people who have never experienced trauma, they can't relate. They're not going to look at things the same way. But those who have, and let me just put this out there because it's the truth. That man that is the administrator over the United States of America right now, he has been traumatized extremely a lot. Extremely a lot. He needs to heal. And that is my sincere wish for him to heal, to actually heal. And I know he's afraid of healing because he might feel soft and he may feel even more vulnerable. And he never ever wants to feel vulnerable like he felt when he was a little boy. But I wish that man healing before he leaves this planet. I wish him healing. I wish that he becomes whole before he leaves this planet. For real, for real. There's a lot of men and women in positions of authority who have not healed and they abuse that authority. There's one where I go to school at. It's probably more than one, but there's definitely one. And I know because it came out. It came out in his interaction with my son that he likes young men. And I guess his rationale is if they're over 18, it's okay. It's because they consented to it. But when you are being a predator and you're utilizing someone's either vices or poverty, economical situation to manipulate them, to satisfy and execute your authority over them, you're wrong. And one of those, and I said it before, somebody gonna speak up about it. Somebody gonna say, I didn't want to do this, but I felt pressured like I had to do it. I needed the money, or I needed the food, or I needed somewhere to stay, or I needed the sneakers, or I needed the clothes. One of those young men are gonna speak up, and others are gonna be right behind them. And I'm gonna witness it. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I know it's gonna happen. And 9 out of 10 times, that man that's being predatory over those young men was abused himself. 9 out of 10 times he was abused himself. Somebody manipulated him with sex and money. And God knows what else. Probably food. I ain't trying to be funny, but I wish him healing too. And you know, a lot of people, you know what I've come to realize? The people who are really, really uncomfortable around me, it's because I can see. It's because of my gifts. And they know I can see because I don't interact with them like everybody else interacts with them, especially when they have shown me certain aspects. Now, prior to that man having that interaction with my son, I didn't view him like that because I didn't have enough time to view him any type of way. But once I was able to see with my own eyes, not just hear from my son, but see with my own eyes, like, wait a minute. What, sir? Oh, this is what you're doing. And I know I have joked about it before, but it's not a laughing matter. It's not a laughing matter. The things that Sean Combs did with individuals, those predatory acts, it's not funny. It's not funny. As an adult, and I know 18 is legally an adult, but a person should desire you as much as you desire them. It shouldn't be you want to control, you want to manipulate, you want to relieve some stress. So you're going to manipulate somebody that's younger than you or not as advanced mentally as you to be your prey. That should never be the case. Consensual sex shouldn't just be, oh, I said yes, so I consented. No. Consensual sex should be like, hell yeah, that motherfucker fine as fuck. That's consensual. That's mutual. That's consensual. It's not consensual when the person's like, I gotta, okay, you're gonna do what? You're gonna give me what? Okay. That's not consensual. That's manipulated. That's predatory, especially when you are a person in a position of authority. But that's all I have to say. I hope everyone heals. Because guess what, people? Guess what healed, healthy people do? Guess what healed, healthy people do? We create. We co-create. And the other people are creating too. All right. Don't think that they're not creating. But healed, healthy people co-create a healed, healthy world. So in order for our society to be better, the people in it must be better. So that is my mission. That is my goal. To be my best me and to inspire others to be their best them. So once again, thank you for tuning in to the Super T podcast show. This week, Let's Talk About It was about trauma. And I'm here as proof that it certainly can be overcame.